Disguised billionaire heir revealed his true identity. Hearts changed forever by her hilarious moves. Emily Thompson stood at the front of her small classroom, her eyes bright with hope as she looked at her students. Here, in this Midwestern town that measured success in the warmth of summer barbecues and cheer at Friday night football games, she felt alive. She remembered days when she had little, battling through her own hardships, and knew firsthand the dreams simmering beneath the surface of her students' lives. Despite their struggles, she poured herself into them, crafting engaging lessons and fostering a safe haven where hope was always tangible. One day, in walked Jack Miller, a substitute teacher who seemed to carry an effortless charm. No one knew the fortress of wealth and expectations that lay behind his warm smile and friendly demeanor. He was not there to flaunt power, but to connect. While Emily taught her students to reach for the stars, Jack admired from the sidelines, his heart beginning to tangle with hers. As the weeks rolled on, Emily would stay late in the community center, organizing tutoring for students who needed an extra boost, eternally motivated by both her past and the world around her. Jack lent his energy and support, working alongside her, taking in the simplicity of life that was rich in solitude and resilience. Each laugh shared over late-night planning sessions brought them closer, each glance lingered just a moment longer, and soon, spirited debates about perseverance danced delicately between them, while Emily fought against her estranged father's bitterness, his belief that toil and grit could only yield modest futures. Jack learned the weight of the world outside his glossy mansion. He marveled at Emily's tenacity, the way she fought for every dollar for supplies, the way she believed every child deserved a chance. Her spirit was contagious, her optimism an anchor in the tumultuous sea of societal expectations. But the heart of his past was a looming shadow he failed to notice until it loomed too close. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as feelings began to shift, their worlds collided. In an angry moment, Jack's privilege was exposed, igniting Emily's trust and heart into exploding fragments of disbelief. How could she have been fooled? He had come into her life as a friend, yet he had sold her dreams wrapped in deception. The bond they had built seemed nothing more than a cruel mirage. In the days that followed, Jack stood at a point of reckoning. He could return to his life of expectations or take a leap into a new identity, defined not by money but by impact. It was a choice that could either spell the end or the beginning. Racing against time, he scoured community needs, piecing together a fundraiser that could align his heart with Emily's values: to uplift, to teach, to compile hope amongst despair. As the event loomed closer, he felt the weight of doubt crush his resolve. Would Emily see beyond the gilded borders of his past? Would he have the courage to declare his intentions? With every beat of his heart echoing hope and fear alike, he knew they stood on the precipice of a new beginning, questioning if love could transcend privilege and betrayal. As Jack took a deep breath, the stage was set for a life-changing moment. Jack stood backstage, his palms slick with sweat as he glanced at the crowd filling the small auditorium. Families and friends had poured in, all there to witness the fundraiser he had worked so hard to coordinate. He shuffled through his notes again, the words blurring as anxiety buzzed in his head. He couldn't help but wonder if Emily would even show up after everything that had happened. The stage was small, but bright lights illuminated the space, making it feel bigger, more significant. This was his chance, his moment to unveil not just a fundraiser, but a piece of his heart. He had invited local businesses and community members to pitch in, and every dollar raised would go directly toward supporting students like Emily's. As he scanned the crowd, he caught sight of her at the edge, her expression unreadable. His heart raced. He was terrified and exhilarated. The event kicked off. Jack took the stage, his voice shaking at first. He began speaking about the vision behind the fundraiser, the dreams of the students, and his desire to make a difference. He spoke about the importance of believing in potential, a lesson he had learned from Emily herself. As the words flowed, he felt a strange mix of vulnerability and strength wash over him, each story he shared tied back to a student or a teacher whose life had been changed by hope just like the hope Emily had sparked in him. He felt eyes on him, some skeptical, others curious, but one set of eyes burned into him with an intensity that could scorch. Emily watched, her arms crossed, lips pursed, the disappointment and anger still fresh. He pushed through. Jack described his own journey, a boy who lived in privilege but wanted more than what money could buy. He spoke openly about his flaws, acknowledging the part of himself that had walled off his heart and misled Emily. It felt like pulling off a long-suffering band-aid, exposing raw skin beneath. "I messed up," he admitted to the audience, his voice steadying. "I didn't just hide a part of myself, I hid behind it. I thought being wealthy defined me. But tonight, I want to redefine what success looks like." He glanced at Emily, who gave him a solemn nod, every emotion flooding back to him. "I want to believe in something deeper, community, love, and perhaps a second chance at trust and love." Silence fell over the room, a collective breath held as Jack's confession hung in the air. He had opened the door, but would she walk through? Would anyone? As he closed his speech with a call to action, a voice echoed back. "You can do it, Jack." It was one of his older students, cheering him on. This small voice cascaded through the crowd, igniting a subtle wave of applause. Encouraged, he extended his hands to the audience, inviting them to be a part of this venture, to invest not just in funds but in futures. The room filled with energy as donations started to come, small, big, each one an act of faith in their shared mission. In that moment, Jack felt hope blossoming, igniting the darkness of past mistakes. But even as he soared higher with the crowd's enthusiasm, he felt the weight of uncertainty. He needed to find a way to connect with Emily, face the pain he had caused. After the applause faded and the excitement began to wane, he stepped off the stage, seeking her out. Emily stood by the exit, her arms still crossed, a storm brewing in her blue eyes. "Jack," she started, her voice strained. "Please, let me explain. Just hear me out," he pleaded, stepping closer. But as those words hung between them, he realized the stage was just the beginning. The hardest part lay ahead, opening his heart again and facing the turmoil he had created. Would Emily find it in her heart to forgive him? With the possibility of hope hanging in the air, he took a deep breath. Would her response be the key to everything he desired, or would it lock their futures away forever? Emily took a deep breath, her gaze flickering between Jack and the ground as if weighing words she didn't know how to say. The soft hum of chatter from the auditorium faded into a distant murmur. There they stood, suspended in time, the weight of unspoken feelings thickening the air around them. "Jack, you really pulled it off tonight," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it carried an edge of gratitude. The tightness in her arms softened just a little. "I did it for the students, for you," he replied, his heart racing. "I want to be better, Emily. I want you to see that." She looked up, meeting his eyes, searching for sincerity. "You think it's that easy? Just because you put on a show, everything is fixed now? You hurt me, Jack. It's not just going to disappear." Jack felt a pang of pain in his chest, a reminder of the chaos he brought into her life. "I know I messed up. But tonight was my first step to making things right. I need you to believe that." She blinked, and the flash of anguish in her eyes sent waves of regret crashing over him. "I wanted to believe in you, Jack, but now? After everything?" The hurt she felt seeped through her words. "What did you expect? A fairy tale ending?" "No, I just hoped," he admitted, voice trembling. "I hoped you'd see that I didn't just take from the community I want to give back. I want to give to you." His words hung there, a fragile thread stretching between them. Emily looked away, her expression a mixture of frustration and sadness. Jack sensed the storm within her fighting against the rational part that just wanted to heal. "I can't do this right now, not here," she finally said, glancing back at the bustling auditorium. "I need space, Jack. I need to think about what you said, and what it all means for me. For us. An aching silence loomed as Jack fought the urge to pull her into an embrace. Her eyes, so bright yet filled with shadows, sealed the words he didn't want to say. Okay, I understand, he said softly, knowing he needed to respect her feelings even if it crushed his heart. The murmur of laughter, celebration, and hope continued inside the auditorium, but all he felt was the cold grip of reality. He watched her turn away, moving toward the exit, every step a painful reminder of everything that was left unsaid. He should have reached out, should have tried to grab her hand, but fear kept him rooted in place. Jack! A voice called out, slicing through the haze of his thoughts. It was his co-organizer, Sarah, her face lit with excitement. Did you see those donations? We raised more than we anticipated. He forced a smile, but it felt heavy on his face. Yeah, that's great. Are you okay? You don't look so hot. What happened with Emily? She asked, genuine concern etched across her features. It's complicated, he replied, running a hand through his hair. I want to fix things, but I don't know how. As Sarah started to speak, Jack's gaze wandered back to the exit where Emily had disappeared. The warmth of the evening faded, replaced by an icy uncertainty. He turned back to Sarah, swallowing hard. There's so much left to do. We have to follow up on these donations and keep the momentum going. Sarah nodded, but Jack could sense her skepticism. I hope you know what you're doing, Jack. Me too. He looked over the crowd, their smiles igniting the hope he yearned to restore not just for the fundraiser, but in his own heart and in Emily's as well. As the night wound down, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to embark on a more challenging journey than any fundraiser he had ever organized. He needed to confront the truth of his past while trying to mend the bridge he had burned with Emily. In the stillness of the auditorium, among the echoes of thank yous and farewells, he hoped she would reconsider. He hoped she would find a path back to him. Would her heart truly leave a door open, or had he walked into a darkness that would be impossible to escape? The night air outside the auditorium was brisk, and a few stars peeked through the gauzy clouds overhead. Jack stepped outside, the echo of laughter and music fading behind him. The celebration continued inside, yet he felt a profound sense of loss. He needed to talk to Emily again, not just once, but fully needed to express everything tangled in his heart. As he walked away from the doors, he caught the faint sound of a nearby park. The gentle rustle of leaves mixed with the sound of laughter from children playing in the fading light. A small lantern flickered just beyond the trees, and he suddenly craved the comfort of the familiar. It was the spot where he and Emily used to sit for hours, discussing everything or nothing at all. The memory pierced through him like an arrow, and he quickened his pace. Arriving at the park bench, he sat down, letting the cool metal score his palms. He leaned back and exhaled slowly, trying to find clarity in the haze of emotions swirling around him. The warmth of the moment they shared seeped through the cracks of his facade when Emily laughed. Her laughter, like wind chimes, brightened even the darkest corners of his day. But they weren't there yet. Thoughts of the past crept in, his mistakes coiling around his heart like vines. Could he ever pull them away? Did he even deserve another chance? His heart fought against the cynicism whispering in his mind. There had to be a way. He pulled out his phone, staring at the blank screen, the thought of a message to Emily daunting. What could he say that wouldn't sound like desperation? Hey, I miss you. Let's talk. Felt hollow against the weight of everything that needed to be said. Just then, his phone buzzed. Sarah's name flashed on the screen. Maybe she had some wisdom to offer. Hey, Jack. Just wanted to check in. You okay? He typed back, not really. I need to figure things out with Emily. Did you think about talking to her? Every word felt loaded, but he replied carefully. What if she doesn't want to hear from me? Then your best shot is to try, right? Just be honest. Sometimes honesty is the best way to open doors, she encouraged. He contemplated her words, feeling a flicker of hope ignite. That's what he needed, honesty and courage. Maybe he didn't have all the answers, but he could start with that, even if it was terrifying. With a deep breath, he began typing. Emily. I know you need space, but could we talk? I want to explain. No more hiding. He hesitated, finger hovering over the send button. Would this push her away or draw her back? But there was a chance to bridge the distance. He pressed send and stared at the screen, stomach churning with anticipation. The seconds crawled as he waited, each heartbeat thundering in his ears. And just as doubt began to cloud his resolve, his phone buzzed again. Okay. Let us meet tomorrow. I want to talk too. The world around him seemed to brighten, light bursting forth with the possibility of hope. It wouldn't be easy, and he still feared that Emily might slam the door completely shut, but at least there was a crack. He rose from the bench, feeling the chill of the night wrap around him but no longer as heavy. Tomorrow would bring a fresh chance, and for the first time in a long time, he felt ready to face whatever came his way. But would Emily be able to see the changes he was determined to make, or would the past still cast a shadow over their future? He wasn't sure, but he knew he had to try. As he walked back toward his car, the night filled with those hopeful possibilities, one question lingered: could true change ignite forgiveness, or would it remain a distant dream? The morning sun broke through the clouds, washing the park in a golden light. Jack arrived early, heart hammering in his chest. He stood by the old oak tree, the one where Emily had carved their initials years ago. He ran his fingers over the bark, tracing the familiar grooves, memories flooding back. What if she didn't feel the same? What if the words he planned to say couldn't bridge the distance between them? The doubts tangled with his excitement. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. Finally, he spotted her walking toward him, her hair catching the light like spun gold. She wore a light sweater, one that he recognized from the countless times she had thrown it on during cool evenings. It pulled tight around her shoulders, and he remembered how it always struggled to contain her vibrant spirit. Jack. Emily's voice was soft, but it echoed in his mind, stirring both joy and fear. Hi, Emily. He managed to say, his throat dry. They stood there, a fragile beat in the air between them, filled with unspoken words. After a moment, she glanced down at her shoes, fiddling with the hem of her sweater. Thank you for coming, Jack said, his voice stronger now. She looked up, her eyes meeting his, revealing the weariness he had sensed in their last conversation. I didn't know what to expect when you texted. Neither did he. He took a deep breath. I just want the chance to explain. To show you that I've been working on myself. As they walked to the bench, the weight of the past sat heavily on both of them. Jack watched as she settled down, her gaze drifting to the busy pathways of the park. He sat down beside her, taking care not to crowd her space. After everything, I think we both need clarity. I've been thinking a lot about us, she began, her voice barely a whisper. Me too. I don't want to misrepresent how I feel or what I've done. I messed up, Emily. Badly. His heart raced as he spoke, urgency urging each word out. But I want you to know that I've changed. I'm learning, and I want to be better for you, for us. Emily turned to him, her expression softening. It's hard to believe that change can happen so quickly. The hurt runs deep, Jack. I know it does, he replied, the ache in his chest expanding. But I promise you, I am not that same person. I've realized how valuable you are to me. I need you to give me a chance to prove it. Her eyes searched his, looking for something he wasn't sure he could provide. It's not just about you, Jack. I need to be honest too. I've been confused, angry even. But I can't just forget everything. What if we didn't have to forget? Jack said quickly, a spark igniting within him. What if we could use it to build something stronger? She hesitated, her brow furrowing as she considered his words. Jack could sense the internal struggle battling within her. He reached out, his hand brushing against hers on the bench. "Can we start over?" he continued, his voice softer now. "Not as the people we were before, but as who we can become. Together." Emily held his gaze, and for a moment, he thought he saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. But then she pulled her hand away, creating space again. "I need time to think. It's not easy for me." Jack felt the sting of her words like cold water on his skin. "I understand. Take all the time you need." But inside, he wrestled with fear. Was he losing her again? As they sat in silence, the laughter from the children in the park flowed around them like a distant melody. Jack's heart ached, uncertain if they could find their way back. Emily finally turned to him. "Look, let us not rush this. I think we both need to figure out what we truly want." "Yeah," he said slowly. "I guess we do." But as he watched her face, he felt one final push of determination. "Just know, I'm here. No matter how long it takes." She nodded, and even if uncertainty hung in the air, it felt lighter now, almost breathable. As they stood to leave, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were at a turning point. Would they find their way? Or would the past devour the hope he had begun to cultivate? He walked her back toward her car, each step echoing the silent question, were they on the road to healing, or was it just the calm before another storm? Jack watched as Emily made her way to her car, the sunlight illuminating her figure as if presenting her to the world. His heart felt heavy, but there was a sliver of hope mingling with the dread. As she turned back to look at him one last time, their eyes locked for just a beat. In that moment, he wondered if she'd seen the determination behind his gaze, the promise of a deeper love waiting just beneath the surface. "Call me when you're ready," he said, keeping his tone steady, not wanting to push her away further. "Yeah, I will," she replied, sounding more certain than before, but Jack could still hear the hesitation. As Emily drove away, he lingered by his car, his mind racing over the conversation they had just shared. He felt the gentle breeze wash over him, carrying with it the chill of uncertainty. The park, which had been vibrant and alive just moments before, now felt heavy and solemn. He could still hear the laughter of children playing, the sun shining down on couples walking hand in hand. It all felt distant, like he was observing a life that was somehow separate from his own. Jack climbed into his car and sat in silence, staring at the steering wheel. He had bared his heart, vulnerable and open, yet he still felt her distance like an invisible wall. What did she truly feel? Could she see beyond the mistakes, beyond the history that had nearly torn them apart? He glanced at his phone, wishing for a message, a sign that she was thinking of him too. With a groan, he turned the engine over and began driving home, his thoughts overshadowed by doubt. He remembered the laughter they once shared, the moments when everything felt effortless. Could they ever find that again? He parked his car in his driveway, staring blankly at the front door. Each step inside felt like a plunge into unknown waters. He didn't want to go back to the routine that felt empty without her. Jack wandered through the house, the shadows dancing on the walls like echoes of his unease. He picked up his guitar, a cherished companion during lonely moments, and strummed absent-mindedly. The music filled the silence, but it couldn't fill the emptiness in his heart. A noise from his phone broke through his reverie and alert. He quickly grabbed it, his heart racing. A message from Emily? No, it was just a reminder about the work project he'd been avoiding. Frustrated, he tossed the phone onto the couch. Work was supposed to keep him occupied, but all he could think about was Emily and the chance they were now left hanging on the edge of. Suddenly, he remembered the offer he had made to her, starting over, building a new foundation. What if he actually put in the effort to show that he was changed? It wasn't enough to just say it, he realized. He had to show her, to demonstrate that the man sitting beside her in the park could be someone she could trust again. Filled with resolve, Jack opened his laptop, the screen lighting up the dimly lit room. He began to type, brainstorming ideas for a small surprise, a gesture that would show her he was serious. Something that would represent not just his feelings, but also the lengths he was willing to go for her. As he worked through the night, his mind swirled with thoughts of Emily, her laughter, her quirks, and the way she looked when she was genuinely happy. He couldn't forget that spark between them, and he was determined to reignite it. That he paused for a moment, remembering the warmth of her hand in his. Whatever darkness lingered from their past didn't have to define them. But just as he was starting to feel capable of making a plan, a thought knocked against the back of his mind. What if his efforts fell short again? Would he find a way to convince her? Or would the pain of their past be too great to overcome? He leaned back in his chair, the weight of uncertainty heavy on his chest. All he could do was hope she would find her way back to him before it was too late. Would tomorrow bring the clarity they both needed, or would it shatter the fragile hope he had begun to foster? Jack woke up early the next morning, the first light of day spilling through his window, illuminating the scattered thoughts dancing in his mind. He rubbed his eyes and took a deep breath, feeling a mix of determination and anxiety ripple through him. Today had to be different. He grabbed his phone to check if Emily had messaged him yet, though deep down he knew she hadn't. It felt like an eternity since their conversation, yet it hadn't even been a full day. He pushed back the disappointment and made himself a cup of coffee, the routine calming him slightly. He couldn't let layers of doubt wrap around him like a heavy coat. This was the day he would act. With his heart racing, Jack reviewed his plan. He wanted to surprise her in a way that reminded them both of their shared past, the good parts that had always drawn them together. A picnic at their favorite spot in the park. It was simple, but meaningful. He thought of the sunny afternoons they had spent laughing and sharing food, feeling untouchable. Those memories had been a refuge during tough times, a reminder of what was still possible between them. After quickly making a list of things to prepare, he headed to the grocery store. His mind buzzed with ideas for their picnic. He envisioned sandwiches, fresh fruit, and a small dessert, something sweet that would make her smile. Jack even picked up a bottle of sparkling cider, the kind they used to share. Each item filled him with a sense of resolve, as if he was collecting pieces of a puzzle that would lead them back to each other. As he drove to the park later that afternoon, his stomach fluttered with anticipation. He found a secluded spot, laying down a blanket under a large oak tree that had witnessed their past joys and struggles. The sun shone brightly, casting playful shadows as he arranged the food. Everything looked perfect. But as the minutes ticked by, his hope began to wane. Where was she? Jack tapped his foot nervously against the ground. He pulled out his phone and glanced at the time again, then back at the entrance of the park, willing her to appear. Doubt began to creep back in like weeds in a garden. What if she didn't come? What if she was still unsure and he was just wasting his time? He tried to shake the thoughts away, remembering the determination he had felt just yesterday. Just as he began to question every choice he made, he suddenly spotted her approaching. Emily was on the path, looking a little hesitant but undeniably beautiful. Jack's breathing quickened as she drew closer, her expression uncertain yet hopeful. "Hey," he called out, his voice warm even if his heart pounded in his chest. "Hi, Jack," she replied, her smile tentative but genuine. That he gestured to the blanket. "I wanted to do something special, to show you. To show us." As she took a seat, Jack felt an electric charge between them, igniting old memories while pulling at new, unspoken possibilities. For a moment, the weight of their past threatened to overshadow the warmth of the present. But something in her eyes told him she was willing to try, willing to explore what lay ahead. Just as he began to pour the cider, Emily suddenly looked serious. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about us." His heart raced, not from fear but from hope. Had she changed her mind? Would she finally let him in? "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to suppress his anticipation. I need to know, are you really ready for this?" The unsteady edge in her voice sent a tremor through him. Could he backtrack, find the right words, convince her of his sincerity? As the sun cast golden beams around them, they both sat on the brink of transformation, each filled with the promise of healing or the burden of returning to old habits. Jack realized the conversation could shift everything. and he was ready, but would she be? Their eyes locked once more. In that single moment, Jack understood that everything hung in the balance. Would they seize the chance before them, or would fear hold them captive once again? Jack swallowed hard. The weight of Emily's question hung heavy in the air, wrapping around them like the gentle breeze rustling the leaves. He wanted to respond, to spill out all the feelings he had been holding back. But the words seemed to tangle in his throat. Ready for what, specifically? He managed, trying to sound calm even though adrenaline raced through him. For us, she said softly, her gaze drifting to the blanket spread beneath them. For this. Her vulnerability touched something deep in him. This was the moment he had been waiting for, yet here they were, standing on the edge with uncertainty still looming. He could feel her pulse quickening, mirroring his own, as their past stretched like a taut rubber band ready to snap back into familiarity or shatter once and for all. "I'm ready for whatever is next, Emily," he replied, his voice gaining steadiness. "I know we both have our fears, but I believe we can find our way back. I want you to know how serious I am about this about us." Emily looked up, her eyes flashing with emotion. "But what if we fail again? What if we trip over our past? Every day is a risk, isn't it?" Jack said, his heart pounding. "Look around us. This park has both our laughter and our tears woven into its very fabric. But that's what makes it special. It's a reminder of what we've shared and what we could still share." After a long moment, she shifted her weight, her expression wavering between uncertainty and the spirit of adventure. "I'm scared, Jack, scared of getting hurt again." "I'm scared too," he admitted. "But what if we allow ourselves to feel again? To really give this a chance? We could build something new together. A foundation on honesty and no expectations." Jack reached out, brushing his fingers across her hand. The electric jolt brought both warmth and a tremor that shot through him. "Do you want to try?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. She hesitated, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the sun and the cool uncertainty of her heart. I think before she could finish, the sudden sound of children laughing nearby broke the moment. They both turned, startled, and watched as a group of kids raced by, carefree and full of joy. Jack stole a glance at Emily, seeing a flicker of something in her eyes, a fleeting smile that spoke volumes about her spirit, about hope. "Maybe, just maybe," she started again, her tone brightening gradually. "We could take small steps. One day at a time." "Yes. Days, hours, even minutes," Jack replied eagerly. "We'll carve out our own path, Emily. Whatever it takes." As they shared their first genuine laugh in far too long, Jack felt the tension lifting just a little between them. Like the blanket beneath them, it would take time to smooth out the wrinkles of their past, but he was willing to put in the work. But as the conversation shifted toward lighter topics, he couldn't shake the nagging sensation that something was still unresolved, lurking in the shadows of their exchange. Had they truly broached the surface of their feelings, or were they just brushing against the complicated layers of their history? And just as Jack finally began to fully relax, the chirp of his phone cut through the moment. He glanced down, his heart sinking slightly when he realized it was a message from an unknown number. "Jack, we need to talk." His stomach twisted as a chill ran down his spine. What else was waiting for him beyond this picnic? Could their fresh start withstand the storm brewing just beyond the horizon? Jack's heart raced as he stared at the message. It felt like a hammer striking glass, sharp, sudden, and sending shivers through him. The laughter from the children faded into background noise, their innocent joy contrasting sharply with the heavy weight forming in Jack's chest. He looked at Emily, her face bright with hope and a flicker of healing. But Jack couldn't indulge in that warmth just yet. "I need a minute," he said, his voice shaky. "What's wrong?" Emily's smile faltered. It's a message from someone I don't recognize," he replied, holding up the phone like a shield. "It says we need to talk." Her brow knitted in concern. "Who could it be?" "Honestly, I have no idea." Jack felt a dozen scenarios playing out in his mind, each darker than the last. It could be someone from my old life, someone who isn't ready to let go. Jack, Emily said gently, her hand slipping into his again, grounding him. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together, right? He nodded, but his mind was already racing off. The past felt like a persistent shadow, lurking just behind him, waiting for the right moment to pull him back into its hold. I just want us to be real, Jack said, his voice a whisper, the breath of his fears spilling out along with his earnestness. I don't want to ruin it before it even starts. Emily's eyes softened. You won't. Not if we keep talking. If we share everything that's troubling us. Her presence was like a lighthouse in the storm, yet Jack felt the pull of the tide threaten to drag him back. Yeah, but what if the past won't let go? What if this, whatever this is, forces me to choose between you and everything else? Then we confront it head on. Together. She squeezed his hand tighter. But for now, let us enjoy this moment. Just us. This is just as important. Taking a deep breath, Jack felt a glimmer of hope beginning to push through the fog of anxiety. He glanced at the park around them, the laughter of children echoing in the distance, a delightfully simple reminder that life could be beautiful even with complications. Okay, he said finally with a smile, channeling Emily's encouragement. Let us take those small steps. One day at a time. But as they resumed talking about light-hearted things, their favorite movies, quirky childhood stories, Jack couldn't shake the knot in his stomach. The unknown loomed like a storm cloud, whispering doubts that threatened to unravel their tender intimacy. Just then, his phone chimed again. He hesitated, feeling the pull of curiosity mixed with fear. What if this changes everything? He wondered. Emily noticed his distraction, her eyes narrowing with concern. Are you going to look? I should, he muttered, tentatively clicking on the message. Jack's face paled as he read the words that unfolded. It's about my father. His heart plummeted into the pit of his stomach. Emily leaned closer, her brow furrowed. What does it say? Before he could respond, the world around them fell quiet. The laughter of children faded, the rustling leaves stilled, and for the first time on this beautiful day, Jack could only hear the pounding of his heart. What is going on? Emily whispered, her voice barely above the sound of the gathering storm inside him. I don't know, he replied, his voice shaky. But it sounds serious. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the park, Jack felt the weight of his past threatening to collide with the fragile new bond they were forming. Would this new turn push them apart before they even had a chance to find their footing? As he felt Emily's gaze penetrating through the fog of uncertainty, he understood this was more than just about him anymore. This could determine their future together. What if he began, finally looking at her, what if I'm not strong enough to face this? The look in Emily's eyes gave him pause, hope brimming as if she could see what he couldn't. They were on the cusp of something, but now had to face the unexpected first. The storm was here, and they would have to weather it together. Jack sat frozen, staring at his phone, the weight of the message pressing down like a leaden anchor in his chest. It's from my father, he finally admitted, his voice trembling. Emily's eyes widened, concern flooding her expression as she reached for his arm, her touch a lifeline amidst the chaos brewing inside him. What does he want? She asked gently, urging him to spill the contents of the message that had so clearly shaken him. He took a deep breath, fighting against the swirling fears within. He claims there's been a shift in family dynamics that I need to address. A business deal falling through could send ripples through our lives. Emily's brow furrowed. And he thinks you'll just drop everything to come running back. Jack clenched his jaw, grappling with the flood of complacency he had always allowed to shape his life. That's exactly it. He doesn't see the world outside of his bubble. And he hesitated, looking into her earnest eyes. I don't want to go back to who I was. Then don't. Emily urged, her voice imbued with fierce determination. You've come so far, Jack. This is your chance to truly define who you are, not just who your father wants you to be. But as the gravity of the situation loomed larger, Jack felt a twinge of doubt. He still has influence, a hold over the company. If I refuse it'll cause chaos in that world. I could lose more than just sides in a family feud. That's the thing, though, Emily countered, her fingertips brushing against his softly. You can't let the fear of chaos dictate your choices. Remember our conversation about rising above expectations? This is the moment you must choose you, Jack. You owe it to yourself to embrace your journey. With each word, Emily's encouragement burned brighter, igniting the path ahead. He needed to face this. He was reclaiming his identity, rejecting the confines of his past. What if I stand up to my father and he shuts the door completely? Then you show him that you're not just running away, Emily replied earnestly, a fierce glint in her blue eyes. You're stepping into your own light, ready to define who you are and what you want out of life. What I want, he echoed, and as the words spiraled into his heart, he felt a rekindling of the strength that had begun to thrive since meeting her. As they sat under the oak tree, surrounded by the heightened sounds of life in the park, Jack felt a rush of clarity wash over him. He didn't have to walk the path his father had laid down for him. Not anymore. He had Emily, and together, they could face any storm. With a determined look on his face, Jack glanced down at his phone, then back up at Emily, courage pulsing through him. You're right. He took her hand, squeezing it tightly while his heart thudded with newfound conviction. I won't let fear decide my future. I'll tell him I won't be a pawn in his games anymore. Exactly. Emily's eyes sparkled as she mirrored his smile. And no matter what happens, I'll be here, rooting for you every step of the way. Their laughter rang out, intertwining with the sounds of joy around them, forming a tapestry of hope. But Jack knew this was only the first step. Today had been about rekindling what once flared between them, reigniting embers of their connection. They cautiously started on a foundation of honesty. It was time to embrace their journey together, to trust in each other. He drew a deep breath, awareness now sweeping through him. This is new territory for both of us. I know the shadows of fear might flicker, but I want you in my life, Emily. I want to give us a chance. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, the warmth of understanding washing over them. I want that too, Jack. More than anything. The tension between them was tangible, an unbreakable thread binding their souls. A historically rocky road had led them here, a beautiful moment filled with clarity and brightened by the promise of what could be. In that sanctuary beneath the oak tree, they found strength in each other's unwavering belief, their own love story, one rewritten by resilience. They were no longer defined by shadows, they were emerging into the light. As they packed up the picnic, laughter still danced in the air, and Jack realized there was one more thing he needed to do. He had to reach out to his father, set the boundaries. Removing himself from the influence he felt suffocated by, he could finally breathe. Fumbling for his phone, he clicked on the contact and, with one deep breath, sent a message, "We need to talk as well, but on my terms. I'm no longer the person you think I am." With that, he felt lighter, the burden of expectations fading away. He wasn't just standing at the edge of the unknown, he was boldly stepping forward with Emily by his side. Their journey had only just begun. In the beauty of that moment, they saw in each other that real change was possible. Everything lay ahead, infinite and bright, forged in love, honesty, and hope. And then, swiveling around, Jack caught sight of the children playing joyfully in the park, their laughter soaring like birds taking to the skies. Hope, the kind that transcends expectations, filled his heart, and with every beat, he vowed to cherish this opportunity for love, growth, and genuine transformation. Jack turned to Emily once more, met her gaze, and smiled, a smile bursting with exhilaration and promise. They would face anything together, side by side. Are you ready for more? He asked, a grin breaking through the remaining shadows of their past. Always, Emily replied, her brilliant smile igniting a light deep within him. And as they headed deeper into the heart of the park, the sun shining brightly above, there was nothing but possibility waiting for them on the horizon, an inspiring new beginning in a world just waiting to be explored together. Now, here's the call to action that you need to follow immediately. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Show your support, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And we want to hear from you. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Lastly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.